Hello, my name is Omar Abasad. It is Tuesday, April 9th, 2019 at 4:15 p.m. in Toronto. So I'm going to show you today's sampling of tagging. My hands are tagged intermittently. And today I'm not in a lot of pain. The power is turned down, as you can tell. And the frequency of pulsing has decreased. Wow. Seems like the power is turned down completely. So I'm just curious then to see what my blood pressure is. So I'm going to take my blood pressure. It should be normal. Although my back was hurting just now, so I was being pulsed before I sat down to do this video. I was pulsed during the night, scanned. The chest was scanned during the night. And I'll show you some of the blood pressure readings I took yesterday. Because yesterday was a painful day. Not excruciatingly painful, but painful nonetheless. So this is as a result of being monitored inside of my home. So it depends on who's doing the monitoring and which team is in control, who is the quote-unquote manager, master, name on the account, because I'm flagged. There is somebody who is taking the responsibility to tell the team of people rotating in this program, in the monitoring, taking turns. There is a manager, a leader, who tells the team what to do, when to do it, how to do it, and makes decisions as to what type of discipline is going to be meted out to the target. So, so today, whoever it is, the person has decided that they're going to turn down the power, and but still to let me know that I am being scanned, and I just got a pulse as I was doing that. I could feel some scans in the back and the chest. So here is the reading. 147 over 119. And I noticed that the lower number is going up a lot faster. So I'm not sure why that is. It's been happening now for about over a week. It's never gone over much more than 110 or so, very often. But I've noticed that recently it's like today it's 119. So I'm going to show you the other readings. So that was the last one. So this is today. Yesterday. So the pressure is all over the place. But if you notice the heart rate, it's fairly stable. But the pressure is all over the place. So yesterday, the number underneath was relatively stable as well. This is the 7th. $145. Now, that is so high that 165. that it just boggles my mind. 137, 142, 86, 97, 151. Now, it's the number is so high that it makes me, if I wasn't in excruciating pain when these numbers turn up this high, I would look at it and have a question mark. But I know how extremely painful these times were, and they all coincided with my microwave detector going off at a very high power. So it has to do with the electromagnetic radiation around me. And it's happened consistently. There is no exceptions. Every single time those numbers are extremely high, I've been in extreme pain, excruciating pain, for a short period of time, most of the time, but sometimes not so short. It can go on for about an hour, more than an hour. So I'm going to take the pressure again. I'm going to buy another monitor. In fact, I'm going to try to get my doctor to recommend a blood pressure monitor. And that's my washer going there. And I think my washer will need adjusting there if it gets any louder. Yeah, I think I'll have to adjust that. Seems to be settling down. It's an old washer, so sometimes the load gets unbalanced and it gets a little bit noisy. So I apologize for that. So anyway, so I'm just going to redo the pressure. Yeah, it's not going off. So I did a bunch of tweets today about satanic ritual abuse. Those were mine. And it's aired out on me, so I'm going to start again. Satanic ritual abuse. And I had gone back and talked about how the investigation of Paul Bernardo was done. Of course, Paul Bernardo, as the whole world knows, was a serial rapist and killer. And he took part in a lot of satanic ritual abuse, rapes, and murders. And the interesting part of that was the investigations. Now, this man was living in the area that I'm in right now. And so based on what I've been blogging about and what I've been experiencing, because I've been stalked in the area, and I'm being harassed as a prostitute, which I'm not, and I'm being stalked by all kinds of criminal-looking men of every ethnic background, but especially black men, and they look like pimps. So I somebody who was not supposed to have conversations with me about this person, Paul Bernardo, mentioned him in a conversation, and I was in absolute shock. This happened 3 years ago, and I could not get it out of my mind. I just could not get it out of my mind. And because I kept thinking, like, what does anything to do with me had to do with Paul Bernardo? Why would his name even come up in a conversation? And and I went back and I did a little bit of research. I read a few of the articles, read about this, written about this whole series of rape and killings and torture, and how the investigations was how the investigations were handled. And it turned out that the women, about 20 of them approximately that we know of, that was reported about, were raped before that. And they were violated, like these were violent rapes, and drugged as well. And so I am sure there were reports about these incidents, and it took 2 years from the point in which Paul Bernardo was actually questioned, and he gave samples of whatever it is to give samples, DNA samples, and so on. And it took 2 years before those samples was matched to a victim's DNA or whatever it is they used to match it. And in the meantime, there were several other victims, and he killed, and not only kill, he tortured and sodomized and violated horrifically these young girls, 15 years old, 14, 15 years old, and then cut them up and dumped their bodies like they were just of no value. And it makes you wonder why it took so long for those investigations to tie the loose ends, to connect the dots to this man. And I saw a composite sketch of him that probably was used in the investigations to ID him in the community. And he looked so, and the sketch looked so much like the real thing. How come the dots were not connected? So in my case, I've gone to 4 different police stations reporting that I'm being stalked. And every single time, I'm told that I'm mentally ill. I have signals in my home that I'm recording that proves that somebody is monitoring me inside my home, or more than one person, groups of people. And yet I'm not being taken seriously. So you gotta wonder, you really gotta wonder, what is the satanic connection between all these happenings in this area and the satanic infiltration of our police force? Obviously, the infiltrated cops are going to cover it up. The cops who are taking part in these experiments, if there are experiments, if they're not actively part of this whole thing, they're covering it up. the question needs to be asked, is what's going on in this building connected to all of that? So my monitor errored out a second time, so I'm not quite sure if it went over limit. I don't know. That's a second error. The band is on my arm very very firmly, not too tight. So I, I can't seem to get a reading. Anyway, it's going on 15 minutes, and I'm going to take these readings off camera, and it's going to be on my monitor, and I will show you next time I do a video. But yeah, so it's very, very sobering to think that when women go to the cops and say they're being stalked, they're not taken seriously. And some of them end up dead. Not only raped, they end up dead. And yet, this misogynistic attitude still is so prevalent. Not only in the police force, in the RCMP, in the military, in organizations where these people have power to save lives and power to cover up crimes as well. Talk to you another time.